Hi, welcome. Today, the launch edition of the Hindustan Times Mint. Mint is a newspaper, livemint.com. It had published a book review. Book review. Let me talk about the book review. It's pretty important to know the institutional framework which had been designed by the political leaders that survived the test of times in South Asia. When you look at the history of the relationship between the army and the democracy, there are many bleak patches. And this book by Mr. Stephen Wilkinson, had thrown light on how India could successfully make strategies and implement them in such a way that there is no conflict between the army and the democratic values. This book, let me bring this book up here. This is the book, Army and Nation, the Military and Indian Democracy Since Independence. This book in India, it's available on Amazon at around 795. 795. I'm not more promoting this book, but this is an interesting book which anyone who is willing to understand the institutional framework of a country like India can read. It's in India. This is 750 rupees. Okay, coming back to the book review. Why there is no coup by the army in India? You see, last year Indian Express had reported that the contingent of Indian Army moved towards Delhi from the Haryana part, and the standard operating procedure is that whenever there is a movement of the troops, it is informed to the Defense Ministry first. But it was not being done according to the newspaper. The article says that it is the closest India came near to the sea world, the coup world. Interestingly, both India and Pakistan inherited the same army that was there, British army, and India and Pakistan, they have taken the separate routes, separate paths. It's because of the factors. These are mentioned in the book in detail with the support of the data. It says the Jawaharlal Nehru in 1955, he redesigned the commander-in-chief. This is the position, highest position, to the Chief of Army Staff, CAS. This is number one, it talks about. Number two, Army has no direct role in the policy making. So in policy making, defense policy, security policy making, in policy making, Army is only consulted. Only consultation part. Army is only being consulted. So Army gives the advice. Number three, due to the internal security problem in India, the government had raised the reserved forces. Reserved forces, and we all know that the CRPF, Central Reserve Police Force, and the other one is the BSF, Border Security Force, and all these. No, BSF is the world's largest paramilitary force. BSF is the world's largest paramilitary force. So this is the haze against any attempt by army to take over the reign in Delhi. So in terms of family, I repeat, the people are coming from the officers' family as well as the peasant family, workers' family. In army, you will see all type of people. Yes, in terms of gender, Indian Army is making, Indian Defense Forces are making the effort. Historically, this book says if you look at the composition of Indian Army, people from the arid regions, people from the arid, semi-arid regions, people from western, northwestern part of countries had dominated the positions in Indian Army. Earlier, the theory was of martial race, that people from martial race had been recruited in Indian Army, but this has been refuted on the basis that it has the geographical fact of life. Because of the kind of geography, India has proximity towards the taking locations, as well as these people were free after the crop season. So the recruitment took place only after the peasants are done with their farming work. very few people from the rainy and humid area joined the Indian Army, uh, excluding Kerala. Historically, you will rarely find people from the other part of the South India, not because of anything, because of the geographical fact of life. Because once there is enough rain, you have enough work at home. At the same time, the book analyzes in the great detail the why Pakistan made a mesh of its relationship between the army and the political life. Army had been more politically active than the political class there, it seems. Pakistan is the gold standard of coup, gold standard of army coup, right? It took more than 50 years for a civilian government to complete its full tenure of 5 years. At the same time, in the end, interestingly, the book asks a question that the power elite composition is changing in Delhi. Power elite composition is changing. It means that the caste dynamics of the elites, caste dynamics of the political leaders are changing. So, under this change in the power dynamics, would Indian Army stay away from the politics? The nation is changing at unprecedented level, and there are various kinds of conflicts, caste and regional conflicts. So, interestingly, let's see whether this kind of relationship would be continued. Interesting read for those who wants to develop the long-term vision in terms of developing institutions and certainly democracy. Okay, bye bye. Thank you. Have a nice time. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/ias.toss and subscribe. Right? Bye bye. Thank you.